All right. So today, taking a break from Thorpe News to watch this, what I'm hoping will be an amazing documentary. I love the stories of the Star Whackers, Randy Quaid, amazing conspiracy theorist, so many crazy rants and moments. So the video we're gonna watch today is from. Hold on, just a second. Is from this channel, Hollyweird Babylon. Hold on a second. I'm having difficulty. I can't bring up my chat for some reason. Hang on. But anyway, this is from Hollyweird Babylon, who was nice enough to let me do this reaction video to it. Where is my chat at? What's going on here? Is this something coming from the Star Whackers? There we go. Hey, how's it going, Barn Ripper? So Hollyweird Babylon is a newer channel, or he doesn't have a lot of videos, but he has a secondary channel that has some other great documentaries on it. But the ones that he has up are like, I'm assuming it's a he based on the voice, but amazing videos. I haven't watched this one yet. I've been saving it. But before we watch it, I did want to show you, if you go to Randy Quaid's YouTube page, all of his videos are like super similar, but essentially this is the gist of them.
Come out of the angry darkness, Alec. Step into the light and feel the power of Christ. Follow him out of the evil swamp. The power of Christ compels you. Come out of the angry darkness, Alec.
But like all of his videos are exactly like that. Like they're all pretty much the same. They're all him like sc- screaming into a camera with all these lights going off. Let me see if I can find the one about let me see if I can find the one about the airlines. He's mad cuz the people flying the planes are too smart. Nuclear weapons and bowling. Google should be sued. Well, I can't really find it, but you get the idea. Flash warning, yeah. Like literal, like look how many videos there are of this. Like it's just a non-stop barrage of these. I like this one, former hero. I mean, it's just really interesting to me. You beg my pardon. Look, I love the like angry face. And so anyway, he's always up to some kind of shenanigans. He made like an adult video with his wife where they were wearing Dick Cheney masks. It was really bizarre. But anyway, this is again Hollyweird Babylon. If you want to go check out the channel, which I recommend. They've got a documentary about Lindsay Lohan. They've got one about Corey Haim, and then this one about the Star Whackers. I mean, there's like literally a nonstop. The one that we watched, if you want to see it again, I think it's one of the funniest ones. Is The Exorcism of Alec Baldwin. So anyway, this is gonna chronicle Randy Quaid's adventures with the Star Whackers, who he believes are like a cabal of people who are hunting down famous people to either assassinate them or embezzle money from them or blackmail them. He actually went to Canada and declared himself to be like in need of asylum because the the Star Whackers were after him. So I thought it'd be a good little change of pace, and I think it's just such a crazy story. All right, let's dive in.
It's a Hollywood story that at this point is stranger than fiction. Actor Randy Quaid and his wife arrested in Canada. A warrant was issued for them after they missed a court date in California. Now the couple, though, is refusing to come back to the States, saying they are afraid for their lives.
In September 2010, Randy Quaid and his wife Evie were arrested on theft and burglary charges. The couple was allegedly squatting in a home that did not belong to them.
She claims they are the real owners of the house, and the incident is all part of a larger conspiracy.
I genuinely feel like these people are trying to kill us.
And after posting bail, the two fled to Vancouver, British Columbia. After missing their court dates, Randy and Evie Quaid became fugitives from justice.
The couple, whose behavior has become increasingly erratic in the past few years, asked Canadian officials for asylum.
They petitioned Canada for asylum status, claiming their lives were at imminent risk.
For the past 20 years, my wife Evie and I have been the victims of criminal activities perpetrated by a small network of individuals who are out to destroy us personally, professionally, and financially.
At a press conference, the Quaids attempted to express their concerns, but the reporting was overshadowed by two words in particular.
We believe there are to be a malignant tumor of star whackers.
Star whackers.
Star whackers.
Who are the star whackers?
What
say
happened?
paranoid?
That is so sad.
Because I know Randy.
Keith Ledger was murdered.
She is a raving lunatic.
I think he was drugged. I think he was slipped a Mickey.
Evie, will you shut up for a minute, please? Please.
Well, it seems like they're either crazy or on drugs.
And Robert Blake was set up.
There's a screw loose there, obviously.
Are either of you?
Like, you know your story's reliable when the only other person on earth who believes it is arguing with you during a, like, media appearance.
Mentally unstable, schizophrenic, on drugs.
Do you think we are?
And do you understand how paranoid and delusional your client sounds?
I'm not going to comment.
When the news came out that Randy Quaid was on the run from the law and carrying on about a shadowy cabal of celebrity assassins coming after him, the whole ordeal became reduced to a punchline. Randy was seen as delusional and probably on something, and so the story fizzled out as he and Evie hid out in Canada. But what about the names Randy was naming? First, there were the 8 targets he...
Oh, I should say also that this is not the original version of the video. Unfortunately, somebody reported it because it had, like, simulated intimacy, so to speak. So whoever reported it, you know, come on, dude, get serious. It's not that big of a deal.
He alleged were murdered by the Star Whackers, including David Carradine and Heath Ledger. Did he know something we didn't? More to the point, what about the ring of shady lawyers, accountants, and estate planners that allegedly defrauded him systematically over the course of several years? Randy named several of them during the press conference, and 2 months prior, the Quaids filed a pro se lawsuit with the Los Angeles Superior Court, which outlined the matter in further detail. Was this legal filing simply 220 pages of lunatic ravings, or did the Quaids bring receipts? And what about Dennis Quaid?
Been a little tense the last few years.
Randy mentions his sibling,
Unfortunately, my brother Dennis has made matters worse.
but comes short of implicating him in any sort of wrongdoing.
You know, I love my brother very much, and you know, we have
We're worried
some
about
differences, but we are. I'm concerned about him.
I recently discovered, much to my surprise, that Dennis is also on the deed to my Santa Barbara property.
I feel he's being victimized the same way that I've been by the same people.
However, they do name Dennis's then wife as one of the co-defendants in their lawsuit.
Did he say 220 pages? You think there are Star Whackers? There may be some kind of weird celebrity obsessed groups. I don't think they're obsessed though with Randy. I don't feel like that's the person they would go after.
So was Randy trying to protect his kid brother or throw him under the bus? While Dennis's generic handsomeness and workaday capability on...
I think what pushed Randy Quaid over the line a little bit, and I think you already have to be a little bit like unstable, but I think what pushed him over is kind of what pushed some of the other like conservative celebrities over the brink a little bit, and that was like like Kevin Sorbo, like he genuinely thinks he's like one of the greatest actors of all time, and like I love to review his movies because I like cheesy B movies, so like I don't have an issue with the guy at all. But like it seems like whenever they like they're like his career never lived up to what he thought it was going to be after Hercules, and like he blames the whole thing on being conservative. You know what I mean? And like I don't think that's an issue because there are conservative actors who get really high profile roles and stuff. I think ultimately it just boils down to like, are people going to pay to see you? And I think some of the guys around that time just kind of couldn't process that. You know what I mean? It just seemed like there were several like conservative actors that kind of went off the deep end around the same time.
Set secured him steady leading man roles in productions of varying quality.
Dennis is now on a treadmill of making movies that are garbage.
Randy had established himself as a versatile performer with a measure of depth before becoming progressively typecast as a comic character actor specializing in supporting roles.
Like, he made that Christmas Vacation 2 movie, and it was like, I don't know if anybody in here saw it, but like, I'm a fan of the original Christmas Vacation, and it was terrible. Like, I don't think Randy Quaid is in like super high demand. But I kind of thought at the time this was like a what would you call it, like a PR stunt to kind of get his name back out there and maybe get some interest in like a documentary or something. But I don't think, well, he did a movie called The Star Whackers, but I couldn't find it.
As the well-meaning eccentric nihilist. Both Randy and Dennis had lengthy and accomplished careers, yet in over 3 decades the two had only worked together twice. Could jealousy be at play here as well? In this video,
kind of like how when a movie is like shitty and people don't want to like accept the fact, don't want to like, they don't want to process it like this is just bad art, like, or this is just a movie that didn't interest people or a video game that didn't interest people, and like people can't just say like, oh, this was a flop. It has to be like it's a flop because it's like, some people will say like it's too conservative, and some people will say, oh, this game flopped because it's too woke. You know what I mean? I think Mel Gibson is probably one of the very few guys that kind of almost got canceled for a little bit. Like, he did have a moment there where he was kind of really on the outs, but then he got pulled back in. But I think Mel Gibson's a perfect example. He's not getting the roles that he wants anymore. He's not getting those like as many A-list roles. If you follow his career right now, he does a lot. He's like either the lead or like a backup character in like direct to DVD videos. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. I love those kind of movies, but he's not getting the roles he wants. But like, I don't really feel like he's blaming it on anything other than like, you know, you age out of roles. He doesn't seem quite as bitter about it as some of the people do.
Yeah. We're going to see if we can.
I don't think you can really cancel somebody like Mel Gibson. I think there's always going to be somebody who's like, oh, I can get Mel Gibson in my movie, and they'll put him in there. I don't think that's how people feel about Randy Quaid. I would love to hang out with Randy Quaid.
Make sense of all this. We're going to take a look back at how we got here, what exactly was taking place when Randy and Evie Quaid went on the lam, and what we've learned since then. It's a story of secrets, sibling rivalry, schemes and swindles, shifty bookkeeping, and the business side of stardom, with a heaping helping of sex, drugs, and rock and roll thrown in for good measure. This is Randy and the Star Whackers.
When you feel your heart start to explode, you'll be the #1 YouTube download. When you're more famous, when you die, they'll have more ways to suck you dry. Put your name and face on all the mags. Lots of pictures on your body bag. When you're gonna get and have no say, they'll sell your vital organs on eBay. I'm talking about whackers. Whackers! Those cheesy Star Whackers. Whackers! Those dirty tongue taggers. Whackers! Those sleazy Star Whackers. Whackers! 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 Whackers!
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
What an epic opening to this thing.
Beneath the bright lights, the red carpets and the velvet ropes, the limousines and the Lambos, beneath the glow of the silver screen. Could it be that Hollywood really is controlled by a clandestine network?
Well, actually, now that I think about it, isn't Mel making isn't he supposedly working on Passion of the Christ 2 now? I feel like that's going to be like that'll make a ton of money. This is art, the Star Whackers.
Of shadow assassins. To get to the bottom of this, let's start with Jaws 3D. Jaws 3D may well be the perfect metaphor for Hollywood itself in 1983. A bloated, self-indulgent, vacuous, half-assed cash grab that arrogantly insults its audience with over-reliance on gimmicky effects and too coked out of its gills to recognize how obnoxious it comes across. By the late 60s, old Hollywood was bankrupt financially and creatively. Television continued to eat away at box office revenues, while the decrepit path...
The Return of Jesus. I really don't know. Jim Caviezel's another guy who kind of, when his career hit kind of a wall, he took issue, like politicized why he wasn't getting movie roles. But, I mean, I see him in movies from time to time. I just don't see him in, like, A-list roles. But he, aside from a few, I don't really remember him being, like, a main A-list type of guy.
Past masters of the golden age of cinema had fallen into a rut of indistinguishable historical epics, musicals, and westerns.
The Bible itself.
I'll definitely watch it, even though I'm not religious, just because the first one was like pretty, like the production values on it were great. That had like some, if you're a horror fan, it's got some crazy gore in it. Like the scene where he whips Jesus is like, whoo. It's like something out of like an 80s Italian horror film.
Their activities as far as narcotics are concerned, marijuana, LSD, these are making no contribution to
Jim Caviezel's into Warhammer?
Their own lives, to the lives of the community of San Francisco, nor to society as a whole.
Meanwhile, the baby boom generation were now the highly prized 18 to 25 demographic. And the overarching message of the flower power movement was a deep disdain and distrust for older adults.
You mentioned and admitted on the stand that you'd taken peyote and marijuana today.
Yes.
How does that affect your consciousness?
LSD, too.
And LSD all today. How does that affect your consciousness and your ability to cope with questions from the floor?
Well, as you seem to know, I appear like any other human being. You don't notice anything different.
We're not hurting anybody. We're not doing anything wrong.
Out of desperation, the studio head started ceding control of production over to a fresh crop of young directors. The bleakness, violence, black comedy, and pessimism of films like Bonnie and Clyde, Cool Hand Luke, Rosemary's Baby, and Midnight Cowboy struck a chord with disaffected boomers. By 1974, this Renaissance era was in such full swing that Francis Ford Coppola was able to accomplish something no one believed was possible. A sequel that was actually better than the original. This was the Hollywood 20-year-old Randy Quaid came into when he was discovered by new Hollywood director Peter Bogdanovich in 1970. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, Randy took up drama in high school and continued to study the theater arts at University of Houston when one of his teachers encouraged him to try out for a movie that was being shot in town.
I think there is a strong identity being from Texas. I think aside from the accent, I think there's when you say you're from Texas, people immediately think of you a certain way or tend to regard you in a certain way. And that helped me, I know, getting a part in Last Picture Show, which took place in Texas. And
that's a really great movie, The Last Picture Show.
And coming out here, and it just gave me an identity that people could immediately grasp, and it helped me get started, certainly.
While some sources claim Randy had appeared uncredited in Bogdanovich's directorial debut Targets, this is not backed up with any substantive corroboration. And though that film is based on Charles Whitman and the 1966 tower shooting at the University of Texas, Targets was filmed in L.A., making it even less likely that a 17-year-old lifelong Texan would have wound up on set. Regardless, Randy's scene-stealing moments among heavyweights like Sybil Shepherd and Jeff Bridges in The Last Picture Show made an impression on Bogdanovich, who brought Randy back for his next two films, What's Up, Doc? And Paper Moon.
Any experienced observer of shooting techniques will quickly sense the utterly new and different atmosphere created on the Bogdanovich set. No more the crass showmanship and slapdash of the old Hollywood.
I'm Peter Bogdanovich.
What's the picture you're making?
This little picture we're making today is
What's Up, Doc?
Called What's Up, Doc?
For his performance as a court-martialed Navy seaman.
This was I'm too young to have seen it when it came out, but this was the first movie I remember seeing him in. I think it was called like the last I don't know. I think it's called The Last something. I can't remember. The Last Detail.
Alongside Jack Nicholson in Hal Ashby's The Last Detail.
Yeah.
Randy was nominated for an Academy Award, a Golden Globe, and a BAFTA Award for Best Supporting Actor. Then in 1974, two things came out of Hialeah, Florida that would change everything. Large volume, high quality cocaine, courtesy Colombia's Medellin cartel, and disco. From the very beginning, cocaine has always been
Two things are about to happen that change Randy Quaid's life forever. Cocaine and disco. I love that.
Hollywood's drug of choice. After the passing of the 1914 Harrison Narcotics Act made it illegal, the scarcity and high price of coke made it an ideal display of conspicuous consumption, an expensive and therefore glamorous accessory that distinguished the stars from the common folk.
That isn't the way to use that.
While it always had a degree of chic appeal among those who could afford it, cocaine hadn't been widely fashionable in the 20th century.
Maybe, it is sort of the aura more than the drug itself.
But after the Medellin cartel decided to make it the cash crop of the northern Andes, dock powder flooded the streets of cities across the U.S. overnight. For the first time since criminalization, cocaine was accessible to the masses. And for the boomers who'd long since become burnt out on marijuana and LSD, nose candy was just the ticket. And the rigid four-on-the-floor stomp of disco music offered the perfect soundtrack. With the two intrinsically linked, experts began a push to convince the public the drug was harmless and non-addictive.
I want that sign.
Steve Young considers the pros and cons of legalizing the drug.
The early fears of it as a hard drug. It's a very powerful and very destructive drug. As it's used in this country, have not turned out so far to be so.
There was a lot of propaganda to the effect that blacks used a lot of it and that it made blacks particularly dangerous, and that there were even some statements that it made blacks invulnerable to bullets.
The scientific evidence which was introduced in the trial does not indicate there'd be any harm if cocaine were decriminalized and if the price was low enough so that anybody who wanted could use it.
Fashion, boredom, lives lived at a swift pace of achieving or coping motivate the use of stimulants like cocaine.
I'd like it to be faster.
Anyone who's experienced a cocaine habit can tell you that the trap of it is that it works until it doesn't.
The Godfather Part 2. Winner of 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of the Year.
In the wake of the watershed moment that was The Godfather Part 2, moviegoers were treated to one timeless icon after another. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Dog Day Afternoon, Nashville, Carrie, The Omen, Taxi Driver, to name a few. Meanwhile, the $470 million windfall from Jaws in the summer of 1975 made the blockbuster the new mandate of the film industry. That fall, NBC debuted their sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live.
Well, we've got 8, and we're hoping for 2 to really work. So not all of these people will become stars.
The not ready for primetime players did little to hide their affinity, all but flouting their coke use on live television. When audiences ate up their bug-eyed antics, logic dictated that more was better.
Well, like, people love the 70s and 80s for, like, art and culture and, like, movies, books, TV. Well, like, that's why. Like, the degeneracy is why the art from that time is so much better.
And this is the Hollywood Dennis Quaid came into.
When you grow up in your life and you're not prepared for a lot of things that come along.
with fame. You know, it's like, you know, the way I grew up in like a middle-class suburb, and then you have all of a sudden people are pay attention to you. I was a goonball in high school, you know, and people paying attention to you. You can get, I can see how somebody get carried away with that.
4 years Randy's junior, Dennis had followed in his brother's footsteps, dropping out of the University of Houston to pursue a career in acting.
An actor you may never have heard of, Dennis Quaid. How did Dennis Quaid, son of an electrical contractor in Houston, Texas, land a job starring in a Hollywood movie?
Where did who brought because real estate and electrician doesn't produce a bunch of creatives. How did that happen?
My dad was a frustrated actor, actually.
Was your father a person who had early fame?
No, he had no fame.
Hey, Laughing Cedar, I don't think what that guy said was right, that you can't have blue-collar people don't make creative energy. Like, that's not everybody. There's only so many places in, like, creative fields. There's only so much, like, there's only so much room. Like, everybody that has great creative energy doesn't necessarily get to express it in a creative job.
He got his first break with an uncredited cameo in Crazy Mama.
Have you ever been with a liberated college girl, sir? No. I wouldn't push my luck. They are a wild bunch.
And his boyish good looks got him work in coming-of-age vehicles.
These college kids out here, they're never going to get old. They're out of shape. Because new ones come along every year. They're going to keep calling us cutters.
In 1980, he and Randy appeared together in The Long Riders, a high-concept Western that starred 4 sets of actors that were brothers in real life, playing gangs of brothers.
There were 9 men. They were 4 families of brothers. David, Keith, and Robert Carradine as Cole, Jim, and Bob Younger. James and Stacy Keach as Jesse and Frank James. Christopher and Nicholas Guest as the Ford brothers. Dennis and Randy Quaid as Clell and Ed Miller.
People that have been studied who have...
I'll have to watch that. That's an interesting concept. I'd heard of the movie, but I didn't know there were that many, like, brothers in it.
...developed serious problems by chronic heavy use of cocaine tend to be people who were very well set financially, for whom money was no object.
As Hollywood entered the psychosis phase of long-term cocaine use, superficial spectacle became the order of the day. With the smash success of Star Wars, merchandising tie-ins became a core component of every would-be blockbuster that tried to emulate it, necessitating storylines that shifted the focus away from character development and narrative towards action and accessories.
Star Wars. You and your children loved it. Now your children can relive our great space battles or collect our wonderful Star Wars companions with Kenner's Star Wars action figures. The Star Wars TIE Fighter and X-Wing Fighter. The Star Wars Land Speeder. And here's Kenner's Death Star Space Station. That's the Star Wars electronic laser battle. These and other toys and games in Kenner's Star Wars collection are sold separately.
Production was back in the hands of the suits and the boardrooms, where million-dollar decisions were made between rails. When sequels were no longer enough for them, executives scrambled for the next big thing. The best they could come up with was to revive 3D, a technique that enjoyed some...
If you guys like cocaine-era films, my favorite production outlet of all time is Canon Films. They made a really amazing documentary about them, but they've got like a catalog of the absolutely like most coke-brained, insane movies ever. Like, it's just one epic, crazy movie after another.
Popularity in the 50s, but didn't last due to the labor-intensive and frequently problematic projection equipment required to run it. This time, a hopped-up Hollywood was sure they could make it work if they threw enough money at it. When Paramount scored a win with Friday the 13th Part 3, Universal followed their lead for the next installment of the Jaws franchise.
How could there have been only one? The all-new Jaws 2.
Jaws 2 was profitable enough, but producers knew another lazy rewrite of the original might be pushing their luck, so they adopted the toyemic formula of Star Wars this time around.
For the first time, the terror of Jaws will not stop at the edge of the screen.
The lead characters Mike and Sean Brody were kept for canon and largely in name only. and plot is an afterthought that serves to link one over-the-top sequence to the next. In his time working and socializing in the industry, Dennis had already built up a healthy cocaine habit.
I'm just basically doing cocaine pretty much on a daily basis.
Well, how did it feel the first time you did it? I mean, like, you know.
Real scary. Real scary.
I grew up in the 60s and the 70s, and there was a completely different attitude about it back then.
There was a cover story in People magazine about, that it was not addictive and that it was just a fun party
People
drug.
magazine.
He'd been indoctrinated at an early age by the dubiously sourced propaganda of the legalized coke movement and never had occasion to question their misinformation, as he found it passed around on every set, in every agent's office, at every nightclub, and at every house in the hills.
People go into meetings and studios and it'd be on the table.
You're joking.
Yeah.
You're not joking.
I'm serious.
One of his recent movies was a starring role in a film called Caveman with Ringo Starr.
We did the movie in Mexico, in Durango, and we wrote a song called Deranged in Durango that has 45 verses.
But Jaws 3D would take things to another level, thanks in large part to the decision to film at SeaWorld in Orlando.
Even in some movie budgets.
It was in movie budgets.
You once said in an interview that cocaine was thinly disguised in the budgets of movies. Which of your movies do you think had the biggest budget in that area?
Probably Jaws 3D. Probably
Jaws 3D.
For me personally.
Really?
That
Just
would
a
be
blowout.
Yes.
Yes, a blowout.
Yes. Had to get that shark some way.
Yes, exactly.
So.
A blizzard.
Yeah.
South Florida was ground zero for cocaine trafficking.
I would say it's $1 billion business. Perhaps.
Oh no, really? That's wild. I have a friend that's like freaked out over exorcisms because she saw The Exorcist when she was really young, and it like, to me it's a really goofy, almost kind of campy movie, but like to her it's just, like completely terrifying.
Perhaps more.
And by 1982, competition had splintered off the Colombian gangs.
Dade County police predict even more killings as the warfare continues between the rival drug factions.
And the rampant violence that came out of it was glamorized in the film Scarface and the NBC series Miami Vice. For 5 months, thanks to the ever-present technical issues, Dennis spent day after day of extensive downtime awash in complimentary unlimited cocaine.
Could you tell?
Yeah, every frame.
Really?
Co-star Louis Gossett Jr. later admitted to struggling with addiction during this time as well. Right before filming began, he was arrested in Malibu for possession.
Man, unlimited complimentary cocaine. No wonder the 80s had such interesting films.
And along with allegations, Gossett was providing cocaine to children, including feeding his 7-year-old son spoonfuls of white powder, according to an affidavit from the arrest warrant. The charges were later dropped for lack of evidence.
It was a setup, and I was exonerated completely. But the truth part was that I did get on drugs. I had plenty of time and no work. And and it happens with a lot of us. I was watching Joan Rivers today, and the kid started at 12.
Jaws 3D earned $88 million that summer. Not quite $470 million like the first film, but better than Jaws 2's $53 million. In the astronaut training drama The Right Stuff that year, Dennis proved himself to be a capable performer that took well to the camera, and he soon established himself as a leading man for the 80s.
You're looking at him. It's well-deserved in a lot of ways.
How?
Deep Blue Sea, was that the one with Samuel L. Jackson?
How good an actor is Dennis? We'll ask the director if we can find him. Which one is he? Well, this is the director.
No, the Exorcist thing is pretty, that comes up much less often, I'm sure.
Ron Maxwell.
He's one hell of an actor. He's got a real screen presence. And, there's a lot behind the eyes, in the soul.
1983 was also the year Randy Quaid picked up the role that would go on to overshadow his career. He continued to gain notice in dramatic vehicles like Alan Parker's Midnight Express in 19...
Midnight Express is amazing. Oh my gosh, I love Midnight Express. It's such a good movie. I like to do drugs while I watch Midnight Express, just for the vibe.
78. But serious roles had begun to feel stifling to Randy,
How come I'm always the one that has to do these things like change a tire?
especially after the epic fail of 1981's Heart Beeps. Agreed. Where he'd played straight man to a robot Andy Kaufman.
Kind of the movie that was dreamed up over the wrong lunch. You know, maybe they ordered the wrong wine or something.
There is no story. You march them out in the woods, you bring them back. It's terrible.
Then he got the chance to work for one of the hottest and most subversive names in comedy at the time. The Harvard Lampoon was started up on campus in 1876 and today prides itself on being the world's oldest continually published humor magazine. In 1969, a commercial edition called the National Lampoon was launched. The wry wit and edginess of the content made it popular among boomers who'd begun to outgrow Mad magazine, and they tried their hand at branching out into
I feel like not anticipation, that almost sounds positive, but I guess anticipation isn't always positive, but like just the anxiety of the ocean scenario, of like the unknown and like the millions of possibilities, as opposed to with the mountain, it's just like lights out.
radio and live reviews.
Well, I'm a congressman from Cleveland. I took kickbacks
Oh yeah, the wall, definitely.
all the time. Oh, yeah. Now I'm stuck here in prison farm, doing 99 years? No, hours.
Our male listeners today will now be approached by Ellen Matterson, a dynamite chick who comes to the National Lampoon Radio Hour Singles Bar of the Air every week, always hoping to find that perfect mate who will love her, care for her, and help to raise her children. Will that perfect mate be you?
I smoke Virginia Slims, but I never inhale.
A number of the Lampoon staff ended up on Saturday Night Live, and after their first effort at feature films, Animal House became an unexpected hit in 1978 and launched John Belushi's movie career. National Lampoon became the initial connective tissue between SNL and Hollywood. Animal House not only kicked off the wave of slobs versus snobs romps that would become ubiquitous, but it also set the tone for comedy going into the 80s. Juvenile sex humor mixed with crass vulgarity.
Oh, here she comes.
Go up, go up.
Oh, no. Oh! That nerd saw me naked.
At the busy National Lampoon offices in Washington, D.C., we have been working for years to create our first film since National Lampoon's Animal House.
Though their next two efforts, Class Reunion and Movie Madness, did considerably more poorly.
You'll leave the theater in delight.
National Lampoon's Vacation was a huge commercial.
Yeah, those two they just showed to me were like, almost just felt like sketch comedy put into a movie. It didn't feel like a movie. Whereas like Vacation and Animal House actually were like, felt like movies.
Success in 1983.
You are a trip.
Well, Eddie's a trip. He's one of my favorite characters. The basic character of Eddie is based on a boss I had once. I used to work at Baskin Robbins, and this guy owned the store, and I based his character on him.
Randy's standout performance as Ellen Griswold's cousin Eddie Johnson would go on to become his career-defining role.
Yeah, I bet you could use a cool one, huh?
Now you're talking.
He's
I would agree it's probably his like signature role, but I still think a lot of people too remember him as the guy from Independence Day.
He's quite a guy. He's got his own agenda.
I don't know if people still watch that movie though. I don't know if that's stayed relevant.
Well, I bet you I'm gonna be a big star. I might win an Oscar, you can never tell.
In 1959, the National Broadcasting Company brought together an esteemed group of scientists, writers, comedians, and lawyers to create a TV show so daring, so original, that only now, 25 years later, can it be shown to you, the American public.
On January 6, 1984, Lorne Michaels made his return to NBC after leaving Saturday Night Live 4 years earlier. The new show was essentially a pre-taped primetime version of SNL, gathering back together much of the talent from the not ready for primetime era, along with SCTV's Dave Thomas, and featuring several guest performers, along with a musical guest each episode. On February 10th, Catherine O'Hara was featured, along with both Randy and Dennis. The two appeared together in 3 sketches on the episode, 2 of which, Commandos from Hell and Surprise, are not currently available. Their surviving sketch together, Phone Fantasy Club, has the two playing a pair of hicks who go to absurd lengths to obtain a credit card so they can call a 900 number.
You gentlemen want to qualify for a credit card, it's all very cut and dried. You have to have a steady job, you have to open a bank account,
Yeah, we can do that.
and establish a positive credit rating.
Well, how do we do that? Establish a positive credit rating.
Well, the easiest way is to buy something on credit. Like, for example, a household appliance, like
Blue Velvet when you're sober is like enough to melt your brain. I can only imagine.
maybe a washing machine.
Randy appeared.
I think about Dennis Hopper with the breather whenever Keemstar hits his oxygen on Lol Cow Live.
Here's in the cold open.
Hold it right there, stranger. What do you want?
I'm looking for work, ma'am.
You look like a drifter to me. Just what kind of work would you know how to do?
Well, I can restore 17th century Flemish landscape paintings.
I got a guy who does that.
And Dennis gets his own sketch, Mental Telepathy.
Wow. Mental telepathy.
Why don't you come over here and let me see that book?
Mental telepathy sure is a great way to meet girls.
Hi, my name is Daryl. Here's the book.
Would you mind staring at someone else, please?
The mid-season replacement was rated 99th out of 99 on the Nielsen chart.
What a terrible skit that was.
Charts for the entire 1983 to 84 season and was canceled after 9 episodes. Meanwhile, GE sued Dick Ebersol and, truth be told, Eddie Murphy had saved Saturday Night Live from the scrap heap after the catastrophe of Gene Dumanian's infamous 1980 to 81 season.
Oh man, it's the first time I've ever been shot in my life. I'd like to know who fucked me.
I'm going to produce this because I think it's great, no matter what.
But by 1985, it was back on life support, and NBC was desperate enough to bring back Lorne Michaels as showrunner in hopes of reviving the old magic.
It happens when you're working in that kind of pressure and you're desperate.
Live returns to television next month, and the show's producers held a press conference in New York to announce an all-new cast. MTV News was on hand to see who the next John Belushi and Billy Crystal might be.
With the show in danger of cancellation, Lorne Michaels, creator of Saturday Night Live, is returning after a 5-year absence. On Saturday, he presented the new cast.
Al Franken, not a cast member. Randy Quaid, a cast member.
Randy had made enough of an impression on Lorne that he was first to be hired for the new cast overhaul. Season 11's repertory players would be made up of 35-year-old Randy, 5 then unknowns that came up through auditions, and, in a nakedly crass effort to appeal to a younger Gen X audience, from the John Hughes teen comedy stable, Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Michael Hall, and Joan Cusack.
They were all chosen because in some way or another they impressed me as remarkable. And I think that...
What an absolutely, 80s look here. I mean, this is just exactly 80s man.
That's all the only instinct I can go on. The original cast were all people who impressed me as remarkable, and I was 10 years younger.
In the past, Saturday Night Live cast members have gone on to star in movies, but this year, several cast members were selected who had previous movie experience.
I had hesitations about this show when I was approached about it because I had thought of myself as an actor. And doing sketch comedy was something that I wasn't really familiar with. I mean, I'd seen a lot of it. I've always been a big fan of this show, and I thought it'd be fun to do.
The cast and the writing were, to say the least, uneven.
Oh, okay. All right, better take me to the hospital.
And from what I was able to review, Randy seems mostly underutilized.
Go get him, Tiger.
And his screen time gets diminished by the antics of his co-stars.
You're that guy from the game, Mr. Monopoly. In the flesh.
People will, as they always do, will prefer the old Coke to the new Coke.
But lasting only one season on SNL didn't appear to hold back Randy's career too much. TV movies had been a steady source of work since he appeared in Guyana Tragedy in 1980. In 1987, his portrayal of Lyndon
Whoa, he was in I didn't know he was in a Jim Jones movie. I'll have to check that out too.
Johnson in the NBC movie LBJ The Early Years would go on to win him a Golden Globe for Best Lead Actor.
Well, Johnson had a tremendous drive, tremendous determination, perseverance. He had the energy of about 5 men. I really was quite taken by the way.
Do you think there's a scene in the Randy Quaid LBJ movie where he's taking a shit with the door open and making his like advisors sit around the open door?
He just pushed himself to the very limits and beyond, and then those around him who worked for him, he pushed them and drove them very hard. He was just a real driven man who had it.
Are you sure that was really happening and not a side effect of the acid? Arsenio Hall, wow, what a throwback. Actually, I thought about him again the other day because he was brought up on the Vince McMahon Netflix documentary where Hulk Hogan had lied to him about taking steroids.
His eye on the very top, and he never looked back. We're going to do the presidential years after this one if this show goes well, so I'll probably lift the beagle in that production.
Oh, so the presidential...
Yeah, he was in Quick Change. Another good one I like that's kind of a little bit lower profile is a movie called Carney. And he plays a clown in it that's really funny.
Years.
Like a Carney clown.
It's already in the works, huh?
Well, it's not in the works, but there's been some discussion about doing that.
The same year, while working with Madonna again on Bloodhounds of Broadway, Randy met 26-year-old Evgenia Motolinez, a production assistant.
Yeah, it sounds like you're running through like a murderer's row of weird experiences when you choose to take acid.
Who'd been assigned to drive him around. Randy was still married to his first wife of 7 years, Ella Jolly, with whom he had a daughter, Amanda, who was 4 years old at the time of filming. He nevertheless proposed to Evie that night, and on October 5th, 1989, the two got hitched at San Isidro Ranch outside Santa Barbara. And it is here, according to the Quaid's 2010 legal filings.
I actually really like Randy Quaid as an actor. Like, if I see his name in something, like, I'm much more likely to watch it. I think he's a really interesting... He's just weird, I guess, he's just got a weird energy, a weird vibe that plays really well on camera.
That all the trouble began. On October 20th, the newlyweds purchased a home in Montecito with a down payment of $350,000 and a mortgage through Chase Bank for $1 million. The transaction was to be handled by Randy's business manager, Warren Grant, and his attorney at the time, Lloyd Braun. Now, if the name Lloyd Braun sounds familiar, there's a reason.
When I was searching Lloyd Braun, you were like the hardest thing to find, and all I could find is Serenity Now clips on YouTube, basically.
This guy from my old neighborhood, Lloyd Braun.
Listen, you guys haven't seen Lloyd Braun, have you?
Lloyd, yes. Hello.
Lloyd Braun, what do you have to meet him for?
Are you the same person? Is it a different person?
As what?
As Lloyd Braun on Seinfeld.
Yes, that is me, but that is not me as an actor. That is the result of a golf bet gone awry with Larry David.
Yeah, I don't mind mushrooms at all. I would microdose normally just because I smoke so much weed and it kind of can interfere a little bit, but I don't mind them at all.
Jerry, I found a way to beat Lloyd Braun! The reason that you constantly hear George and George's mother and everybody, oh, that Lloyd Braun, we love that Lloyd Braun, that Lloyd Braun, that Lloyd Braun. Morning, Braun. What is Lloyd Braun doing here?
Georgie, Lloyd Braun is here.
Hey, Lloyd! That's all I ever heard growing up is why can't you be more like Lloyd Braun? You never could compete with Lloyd Braun! It's always Lloyd Braun. It's never Lloyd. It's because every single time they say Lloyd Braun, it's Larry sticking it to me. Don't you see? He was doing it to fool Lloyd Braun. You know, he was in a mental institution.
Serenity now, insanity later.
According to the Quaid's 2010 legal filings, in the course of settling the purchase of their Montecito home, Lloyd Braun inserted himself and his wife Lauren into their escrow account, creating a pooled loan arrangement without their knowledge. The mortgage on the Quaid's home was somehow paid off within a month.
So wait, Lloyd Braun, the talked about but never seen character on Seinfeld. The real life Lloyd Braun is involved in Randy Quaid's bank loan.
Of them moving in, though no record exists through City National Bank, who they banked with exclusively at the time. The Brauns attached multiple loans to the escrow account that the Quaids continued to pay off. Randy and Evie would later allege this setup allowed Braun to embezzle upwards of $17 million from the couple.
Yeah, I never remember when I was younger. I don't remember anybody ever talking about microdose either. You just take, I think we tried to like measure them out to like 2.5 grams or something.
Lloyd's a very industrious fella. I'm sure he can accomplish anything.
Because we'd have to like pool the money, so we could never get like enough to really go bananas.
Sets his mind too.
Meanwhile, Dennis had begun dating his co-star on the 1987 sci-fi comedy Inner Space, Meg Ryan, and the two would be married in 1990. Behind the picture-perfect Hollywood couple's 10-year marriage, Meg's career ascent was bookended by a trio of era-defining rom-coms: When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and You've Got Mail.
Back when I was on cocaine.
So fired up season of your life.
Yeah. Great Balls of Fire.
Oh my God, Great Balls of Fire, the Jerry Lee Lewis biopic that Dennis Quaid is in. So bizarre. It is like really outlandish.
While Dennis coasted on autopilot, did blow and expressed his disdain for her success by flouting his serial infidelity.
Well, my marriage was I think I have to talk about it in a way that's most respectful to my son.
Yeah, they said that Larry David, the creator of the show, put it in as like a way to get like a little jab in at his real life frenemy, I guess. You saw Inner Space? Yeah, I liked Inner Space. That was like a wholesome movie I remember from my childhood.
Son. Yeah. It was a very unhealthy marriage.
Anybody got any thoughts? Jealousy.
I think that was that the one with Dennis Quaid and Martin, was it Martin Short? Who else was in Inner Space? I'm trying to make sure I'm thinking of the right movie.
Beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on.
A 2010 Vanity Fair article includes accounts from unnamed sources claiming Evie was nakedly jealous of Meg as well, leading to tension at family gatherings. Evie herself claimed Meg was in fact envious of her and tried to steal her style cues. Meg declined to comment on the matter altogether. Another milestone event for Randy came in 1989 in the form of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. While Christmas Vacation was a box office success upon release, it picked up a strong cult following.
Now, I specifically remember seeing this in the theater because I was a kid with my family, and it was a problem because there was like an F-bomb in it, and my mom got really mad.
On home video, that has since elevated it beyond the original National Lampoon franchise.
You serious, Clark?
In this one, there were a few more scenes than in the original one, so I really got to know Eddie a little better and was able to expand on the
That's a great Danny DeVito role. He's really good in that.
Character a lot more.
I don't know about the cat, but I sure am enjoying it.
There's something kind of sweet about him. There's one scene that I thought, you kind of think, oh, hey, here's a guy just trying to get along, poor thing doesn't realize.
I'm going to remake Throw Mama from the Train with Josie, the French Canadian. It's going to be called Throw Josie from the Train, or Throw Josie off the panel.
What he does to other people.
Yeah, he means well. And
that sums him up.
Yeah.
His iconic moments from the film arguably cemented Cousin Eddie as Randy Quaid's career-defining role, for better or worse.
Shitter was full!
But I was laughing at your expense, so...
Well, good. Then I succeeded.
You did what you were paid to do.
While Randy had carved himself a niche as a strong supporting actor, some say Evie had designs of her husband as a leading man.
What would you think about me taking that job as principal?
In the spring of 1991, Lloyd Braun advised Randy he'd been approached by Marcy Carsey and Tom Werner, the powerhouse producers behind Roseanne and The Cosby Show. They wanted Randy for their latest sitcom in development. To show their eagerness to have Randy on board, Braun told them, the producers were prepared to make a generous upfront offer.
I still can't believe Lloyd Braun is a is a character in this fucking Star Whackers story.
And best of all, Braun added, once the show
Dude, props to Hollyweird Babylon for digging this up.
made it to syndication, Randy could expect a $40 million payout. Braun encouraged the Quaids to take advantage of a zero-interest mortgage on a new home in North Beverly Hills and offered to...
I think Grace should recreate that scene for like a members-only post of her dressed like Cousin Eddie emptying the shitter.
Set them up with a buyer for their Montecito house.
Hey, Jerry, Lloyd wants to do you a favor.
Hi, Jonathan and I want to tell you about our new show, Davis Rules.
Yeah, it's about this overweight woman. Huge woman.
No, that's Roseanne. We love you. Dear old dad.
There's a lot of that in the core.
You never know what'll happen on Davis Rules.
Davis Rules premiered January 27th, 1991 on ABC, following Super Bowl 25. But as Randy's portrayal of the widowed high school principal Dwight Davis veered between character and caricature, the ratings...
A widowed high school principal as the main character of like a feel-good sitcom? Come on.
dropped precipitously, and ABC canceled the mid-season replacement after 13 episodes.
Davis Fights.
Hi, we just wanted to ask you to watch our show on Wednesday nights because he's really great.
Oh, come on now. You're great.
Oh, no, you are.
She's really
you
good.
Are.
I've never worked with anyone.
He's very good.
You're great.
No, you
Wonderful.
are great. Dad, who's great in the show?
I am. I won the Emmy. Davis Rules. Previews Monday at 8, 7 Central.
That should have been mine.
CBS tried to overhaul it in 1992 by adding Bonnie Hunt and Giovanni Ribisi.
I got anxiety just thinking about watching that show. I was like halfway considering it mentally just to see what, like watching an episode to see what it's like, and my brain was like,
to the cast.
Where was I before I was born?
But 16 tepidly received episodes later, Davis Rules was mercifully put to pasture on May 13th, 1992. The following year, Alex Winter cast Randy for his directorial debut, which was initially pitched as Beach Blanket Bingo.
Yeah, Freaked was really good too. He's great in that, really over the top.
Meets Evil Dead. 20th Century Fox had high hopes for Freaked, with plans to tie in a novelization, graphic novel, and toy line to the property. But as Winters and co-writer Tom Stern's evolving vision of the project clashed with studio interference, resulting in Rupert Murdoch handing down draconian budget cuts, following poorly received test screenings and a flop debut, Freaked was burned off with a VHS release on April 20th, 1994.
It's a game to him. He gets to make all the rules.
TV movies continued to keep Randy in steady work up to 1996.
This is perfect!
With
What? Randy Quaid is in a Ruby Ridge movie? I gotta write that down. Like, I cannot forget about that. I need to see that.
back-to-back hit roles in Kingpin and Independence Day, which held the claim of the second highest grossing film of all time, behind Jurassic Park, before James Cameron capsized the box office game the following year with Titanic. Randy returned as...
Oh yeah, Parker Lewis Can't Lose. That's like, I think the visuals of Parker Lewis Can't Lose are almost like what most people imagine as the 90s is how Parker Lewis Can't Lose looks. It's like so, it's got that, I don't know that it's how the 90s really were, but I think it's how people picture it is like looking like that.
As Cousin Eddie for a third time.
I still can't believe Randy Quaid is in a movie about, I'm like losing my mind right now.
In Vegas Vacation, the first in the Vacation franchise not to include National Lampoon in the name due to John Hughes having no involvement.
10 years of tap dancing lessons and this is how you repay me?
Can you believe it? They used to test H-bombs on this beautiful piece of property.
Don't you worry about radiation?
All I know, Clark, is that my teeth have never been whiter and my garden is spitting out 50-pound tomatoes.
I actually liked Vegas Vacation. What was the kid's name? Mr. Papa Giorgio.
Vegas Vacation turned a profit, but was panned by critics and remains a somewhat divisive entry in the fandom.
I'm starting my vacation!
In March 1998, work began on Evie Quaid's debut as writer, producer, director, The Debtors. The Quaids put $3.5 million of their own money into the film, with an additional $12.9 million coming from Microsoft icon Charles Simonyi. The Debtors initially had Burt Reynolds and Joan Cusack slated.
They had how much money for this movie, and this is the poster that they made. Outrageous screwball counterculture sex comedy starring Randy Quaid, Jurassic-aged Burt Reynolds, and then who's the Joan Cusack. When I think of fun sex comedies, I think of elderly Burt Reynolds, weird ass Randy Quaid, and Joan Cusack.
For the cast before Michael Caine was brought on to co-star with Randy. In a February 1999.
Hey, Spicoli, you're welcome. I got to keep everybody up to date on what you're doing on the non-Thorpe channels.
An interview for Hello magazine, Caine remarked,
"Because she's nuts, because she wrote it, because she believes in it, and because I'd never worked with a woman director. And it was really smashing. She had lots of women on the set, so testosterone was down to a very low level, which pleased me. It started being macho all the time. As to whether or not it's any good, your guess is as good as mine. Comedy's a bit like parachute jumping. Sometimes nothing happens. There's no such thing as a mediocre comedy. It's either very funny or it sinks like a stone. We'll see."
Aren't you the big cheese? You're in way over your head here, Freddy.
But I can beat these guys. I belong here. Don Big Bucks. Chance wanted me to sit in for him.
Don Big Bucks? What kind of movie is this?
You're not a fag, are you?
After a private screening of the final cut, his publicist remarked,
"Caine has reservations."
A test screening was held in Seattle in April 1999. On top of the reportedly vitriolic audience feedback received, Charles Simonyi was disgusted in particular by a cameo.
I mean, this looks really, really bad, but I can sit through a movie. I can't sit through that TV show, but I'll watch this Debtors movie and review it.
Appearance by German industrial band Rammstein involving a squirting rubber penis.
And I was really frustrated by this.
Drama. Lucky girl.
The film ended up tied up indefinitely in court battles, though the couple was said to have screened a recut at the Toronto Film Festival on September 13th under the title High Expectations. The Debtors was said to have seen a digital release in 2022, though Rammstein was not made aware of this at the time. On January 6, 2000, Randy and Evie Quaid filed for bankruptcy. In June, Meg Ryan released a statement announcing her separation from Dennis.
I mean, the tabloid aspect of it was really heartbreaking.
Though Meg had begun dating Russell Crowe by this time,
You took a lot of heat for that.
Yeah.
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 she would later state the marriage was well beyond repair before he came into the picture.
And it was pretty.
I've got a clip, Hormaxer, on the dating show from the other night still. I keep forgetting to do that.
Pretty much not a happening marriage for a very long time. I probably should have left much earlier.
Evie tried to help Dennis by replacing some of the artwork Meg had taken with her with an Andy Warhol print. And while Evie would later plead ignorance in the matter, her choice of a portrait of American Indian Movement activist Russell Means was enough to cause a huge family blowout. As Randy continued to regain his footing after filing for bankruptcy, the professional embarrassment of appearing in 2002's The Adventures of Pluto Nash was arguably eclipsed the following year, with his fourth and final turn as Eddie Johnson in the least dignified entry in the Vacation franchise, the Hallmark grade made-for-TV.
Dude, don't even call it Hallmark grade. That's insulting to Hallmark movies. Like, Christmas Vacation 2 is abysmal. Like, it's not even like bad that you can like get high or drunk and make fun of it. It's just like straight up awful.
The Christmas Vacation 2 Cousin Eddie's Island Adventure. A turnaround began to shape up for Randy, with a supporting role in 2005's sleeper hit Brokeback Mountain. Randy would later allege Brokeback was presented to him as a low-budget independent art house production in order to negotiate a fee below his fair market value.
You can't do that. Why the hell not? You think the Army's going to give you special allowance just because you're Elvis Presley?
The same year, he won a Saturn Award along with nominations for a Golden Globe and
Helionic Cider? Yeah, I'll check it out.
a Primetime Emmy for his performance as Colonel Tom Parker in the NBC miniseries Elvis. The Quaids would later allege no payment was received for his work on Elvis, nor were any expected royalties or residuals coming in from the home video release of Brokeback Mountain. Then Randy scored an opportunity that promised to be a game changer for his career.
The video crew went behind the scenes yet again, this time to get a first look at the upcoming Broadway musical, Lone Star Love. This new comedy boasts an exciting cast, including Robert Cuccioli, Dee Hoty, and Randy Quaid, who is making his anticipated Broadway debut.
He was going to make his Broadway debut, playing one of the most...
Is it really that, like, anticipated? I feel like it's not that anticipated.
...celebrated roles
Whoa, is he Orson Welles? What's going on here?
...in the history of theater. Sir John Falstaff started out as a recurring character across several Shakespeare plays before taking on a life of his own in the opera.
So many dimensions to Falstaff, you know.
Whoa, this... You just smoked some San Fernando Valley OG at 38%. I'm smoking Midnight Runts, but only 28%, I think. Or a little over 28%.
Shakespeare wrote him in a couple of the Henry plays, and then Queen Elizabeth.
What is going on here? Is he playing Bozo on the side? What's going on? This is so strange.
So the story goes, loved the character of Falstaff so much he asked Shakespeare to write a play for him where he falls in love, and that became Merry Wives of Windsor.
When you're playing a character like Falstaff that is so famous and has been played so many times in history.
I thought that was John Waters for a second. First guest on Grace's first stream almost 2 years ago. I will. A lot of the early stuff is gone, but I think it's like out there in clips and edits somewhere.
You want to start with those acting chops, and Randy's an amazing actor.
Lone Star Love was a musical adaptation of Shakespeare's The Merry Wives of Windsor, set in Texas.
The main draw for me was the music.
What? I mean, this is so out there. Like, why is he dressed like a blues man and everybody else is looking like they're in like an Appalachian folk band?
Music. I mean, if you're going to take Shakespeare and adapt it to 1865 Texas, I guess this is your play, your show.
Hard times is over, let the big dog run. People, let me show you how the West was won.
It's a real honor, you know, to play a character that is so well known, you know, throughout the history of literature, and then to put him in a setting of Texas, and I'm from Texas, so I felt like, well, if I'm going to do Broadway for the first time and a musical for the first time.
Like, this is the much anticipated Randy Quaid on Broadway. He just sounds like some asshole. He doesn't even have a good voice.
Texas would be something I'm familiar with.
He's really just a kind of a larger-than-life force and energy, but he's also...
He felt the same way about Randy Quaid as OPC Don felt about Grace. When I met him, he was larger than life. Matrix Ronald McDonald. I don't understand it. I'm so confused by this look.
So incredibly down to earth and just like really generous and really giving.
Did you ever see a fat man jump?
Oh my gosh, did you see that Lalo got buried on Kino Casino? He got a Suffa Lalo. Rough. Well, they didn't pronounce it Lalo, but they didn't say like Lalo. It was like, I can't even explain it, but the way that they like emphasized it made it sound different.
Did you ever see an elephant fly? What goes down might come up. I'll tell you the reason why. When opportunity knocks and it won't stand still, nobody got in the hen house, you know who will. Make your heart go thumpity, thumpity, thump. Ever see a fat man jump? I mean, did you ever see a fat man jump?
The composer and musical director, Jack Herrick, later told Vanity
What in the world is this turning into?
Fair.
Evie became more and more involved, and as that happened, it became more and more contentious.
he ended up in a very strange costume of his and Evie's creation.
Randy had dyed his hair beet red and started wearing a football-sized codpiece, which Evie described.
Hold on. I didn't even realize that. He's wearing a football-sized codpiece. He's dyed his hair cherry red. He's dressed like he's a waiter in the Matrix, and he's wearing a football-sized codpiece. I think you can hold your own, Spicoli, with anybody in the Thorpiverse in a roast. Now, in a debate, you might veer off topic to talk about vajayjays, so you might lose points there, or neo vajayjays. This is just such a weird. What is going on with Randy Quaid here, though?
It was a huge cock. It was fucking.
It was a huge cock, said Evie. It was fucking great. It looked like gay Vivian Westwood. Dude, Hollyweird Babylon, big props. This is a great edit.
Great. It looked like gay Vivian Westwood.
According to an anonymous source, drug use was prevalent during rehearsals in Seattle and at the hotel where they stayed. In an email to another cast member, Evie acknowledged,
Spicoli, I'm trying to get you to interact with Destiny. That's a real crossover I need to see.
That on one occasion, she and Randy had taken
too much Ambien, resulting in psychotic paranoid reactions. I really wanted to...
What in the world? This is nuts.
Jump out of a window. Randy felt like a serial killer. We got a doctor to give us a sedative, and it was over.
The final straw came when, during a performance, Randy slapped one of his co-stars in the head 4 times and improvised remarks about another female co-star's gynecological instruments. Evie defended the behavior as Randy being in character. Randy claimed stage blocking was altered.
Well, we're seeing that more and more often now, right? Where shit's happening on the set and they're like, oh, I didn't do that. I was doing method acting or whatever.
In an effort to kill him, supposedly.
Okay, so the Quaids also claim that the producers of the play were trying to kill him. They were leaving things on the stage, Randy said. It never happened, said Eric.
For insurance money.
Well, I hope you enjoy your preview of Lone Star Love, which will be opening on Broadway on December 3rd at the Belasco Theater.
The production was shut down in Seattle, and Randy was fired from the cast, fined $82,000, and faced expulsion from Actors Equity, the Stage Actors Union. At a January 2008 hearing, Evie tried to film, but was denied. She claimed it was a Nazi plot and ended up assaulting a 76-year-old.
So his wife gets mad because she can't bring a camera inside the courtroom. Fair enough. I understand being upset about that. But, like, then you're going to kick a 76-year-old woman while your husband's hair is beet red and he's wearing... Do you think he wore the football-sized codpiece into the courtroom?
Year-old secretary, kicking them in the shins. In his statement, Randy claimed,
I am guilty of only one thing, giving a performance that elicited a response so deeply felt by the actors and producers with little experience in my creative process that they actually...
So he's saying that they're just mad because he gave such a good performance that the actor that he smacked in the head 4 times deeply felt it. Come on, bro. And this edit with him doing this Squidward dance in the background.
Actually think I'm Falstaff.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's hard work. It's fun.
This is fake. Yeah, I mean, I don't want the paintball crowd after me. I wouldn't do that. But it's, you know, it's here. It's warm. So
Nebraskans Andy Stock and Rick Stempson won the 2005 Blue Cat competition with their screenplay Gary the Tennis Coach. Emboldened, the duo signed on with a talent agent, whose clientele also included Sean William Scott. Scott signed on as co-producer and lead for the film, and on January 14th, 2009, Balls Out, Gary the Tennis Coach, was released direct-to-video, marking, to date, Randy Quaid's final performance in a mainstream Hollywood production.
When I read the script,
Yeah, I watch some of Courtney's videos sometime when I'm trying to catch up on lore.
I thought it was the funniest script I ever read.
Like you, bitch! Get up and rip this motherfucker's butt open! And make him lick his own shit off your huge fucking cock!
I've told him 100 times I don't want to see that faggy two-handed forehand shit, Nibby. One hand, goddammit. That boy doesn't have an ounce of self-respect.
We wrote it about 12 times, at least 12 times, probably more like 20.
I worked with Danny Liner on Dude, Where's My Car, which is, I think, classic, and we should have won an Academy Award for that. I'm a little pissed.
Well, Sean, I've been a fan of, since Dude, Where's My Car, and he's very funny. He's very unusual in his attack on comedy. He doesn't hesitate to go to places that a lot of other actors, I think, would be hesitant to tread, but he's got a lot of courage. Can you hold down the fort? I gotta go take a dump. You bet. Roles like this one, like Puddle, you can just have a little more fun with.
Randy keeps throwing his
This was the funniest script this guy had ever read.
Cigarette in the urinal that Gary just cleaned.
Which movie do you think will be better? Balls Out, starring, what's that guy's name? Stifler and Randy Quaid? Or Spicoli's movie where Glenn Lawrence is a killer that's stalking Grace?
And it wasn't in the script.
Playing a tennis coach.
And action.
That's something I've always wanted to play, because I always like the look of them with the upturned collar and the floppy hats and the whole tennis thing. It's good, Mike. Hit me right in the balls next time.
We're good?
Great. Yeah.
The movie's gonna make me a big star, 'cause I can play the part so well.
So let's look at the Wonderwall site, if they can go ahead and put it up, and we can keep talking just so people can see it as we kind of get into talking about Wonderwall a little bit. But so part of the goal is you don't want to do the same thing just because it's been done before. And that's obvious here with the Wonderwall site.
It's looking great. Oh, okay.
And I guess this kind of gets into, people will notice in the audience, if you haven't seen the site before, it's actually very horizontal.
On February 5th, 2009, Lloyd Braun launched a celebrity gossip website for
Okay, Lloyd Braun is back. I still can't believe that Lloyd Braun is involved in all this. You and Grace are going to Israel? That'll be interesting.
MSN called Wonderwall. After seeing unflattering coverage of Randy on the website, the Quaids were convinced his ex-attorney was orchestrating a smear campaign against him.
We didn't create this site because we love celebrity. In fact, for Gail and I to get into the world of celebrity actually was a very dangerous thing, because there's a big part of our business that relies on hiring them.
My ex-attorney Lloyd Braun has joined this tribe of bottom feeders by creating...
He said it. Like, I can't believe that Lloyd Braun is involved in this. It's mind-blowing.
Creating his own celebrity gossip website. What is wrong with that picture? When your own attorney starts defaming you, who do you turn to defend you?
They began digging into their business records, where they found evidence of Braun's mishandling of the Montecito property escrow account.
At one point, Evie sent nude photos of herself to a Seattle newspaper with a note that saying, "Here is my German stuff."
Then on June 3rd, David Carradine was found deceased in Thailand.
The autopsy findings and the evidence thus far...
So she sent naked pictures of herself to a newspaper. That's an interesting tactic.
...available demonstrate that Mr. Carradine's death was not the result of a suicide. However, to reach a final determination as to the cause and manner of death, we must wait for further information from Thailand as to the scene findings and the completion of the crime laboratory and toxicology studies that are still being performed.
A private autopsy indicated the cause of death was accidental while engaging in autoerotic asphyxiation, a practice involving choking oneself during a sex act to heighten arousal.
It's a big failure.
While uncommon, autoerotic asphyxiation gone wrong was not unheard of in popular culture. INXS lead singer Michael Hutchence died under similar circumstances in 1997, as did Golden Era heavy Albert Decker in 1968. But to Randy...
I thought they were about to tell me that Walt Disney died from erotic asphyxiation.
Who'd first worked with Carradine in 1976 on the Woody Guthrie biopic Bound for Glory. There were too many unanswered questions and too many coincidences.
Hey, this is America, Bill, so I want you to live it up, stud man.
He began to consider Chris Penn, his co-star in the 1984 sex dramedy The Wildlife, dead from heart disease at age 40 in 2006.
Why, because I'm fat? Why, is that why?
Penn was 310 pounds when he died, and the stress on his enlarged heart was compounded by elevated levels of codeine, along with Valium, morphine, and cannabis, according to the toxicology report. Then there was Brokeback Mountain co-star Heath Ledger, who died suddenly in New York City on January 22, 2008. The official cause of death was cited as combined effects of oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, alprazolam, and doxylamine. However, the circumstances around his death remain hazy, and speculation over Mary-Kate Olsen's possible involvement seemed to evoke the ghost of one of Hollywood's earliest murder mysteries, William Desmond Taylor.
It's about many, many things. It's about the collapse of the economy.
Then there was Jeremy Piven, who had to abruptly leave the cast of the Broadway run of Speed the Plow due to mercury poisoning on December 17, 2008. That spring, Randy and Evie reached out to private investigator to the stars, Becky Altringer.
Wait, are you saying you think Randy's personally responsible for all these?
Leading to look into the union mob that was out to kill them. Altringer investigated their claims, but was unable to find anything substantive to follow up on.
Becky, the Quaids hired you to track down these people who they thought were trying to kill them. What did you uncover?
Well, as I was investigating it, I realized that the only one trying to hurt Randy and Evie Quaid was Evie Quaid.
Really? That's all you discovered? So you didn't find anybody hounding them or threatening them or anything like that?
At this point, the couple were homeless. They stayed for 3 days with Becky Altringer.
He was a star whacker, Spicoli.
And her partner before they were kicked out on June 27th. Altringer witnessed Evie crushing and snorting a pill.
Well, I observed Evie Quaid snorting some type of white substance that she told me was Demerol. But I'm not really sure what it was.
Demerol comes in powder form? I didn't even know that.
No, she would take the pill and squash it up. But I think it was Riddle.
Joy Behar was like... Joy Behar's like, wait a minute. You can get Demerol in a snortable form? Oh, I don't think they're saying that he killed him. I don't think he killed. He thinks that the Star Whackers killed all these people. He's gonna have a whole case built like that these deaths were like a series of events and he's next. So he needs asylum status in Canada.
Because that was the only prescription that I saw.
Evie later told Vanity Fair she routinely snorted Demerol because
it goes straight to the right side of your brain.
I think he's afraid to leave her because she'll harm him or someone that he cares about.
Oh, I see.
Because that's what I saw.
I agree with that. I believe.
I guess I never realized how many different looks Randy Quaid has had. And as soon as I paused it to say that, here's a new look.
Certainly mental abuse, if not physical abuse, has been used against Randy Quaid.
Also, when was this made that Danny Bonaducci is being presented as a reliable source?
Where he's actually first afraid and then falls into the Helsinki syndrome, where he actually believes her lunacy, and in my opinion, she is an absolute lunatic, but he's no longer afraid of her. He now agrees with her. He's been beaten into submission.
Okay, are you referring to the Stockholm Syndrome, which is Sweden? Helsinki
Yes, I was. I'm sorry. Yes, I was.
Helsinki is in Finland.
They rented a mobile home from Altringer's partner's mother before bouncing around, winding up at the San Isidro Ranch by September.
Actor Randy Quaid and his wife have been released from a West Texas jail after they were arrested for allegedly skipping out on a large hotel bill in California. According to authorities, the two are accused of not paying their more than $10,000 tab at a Santa Barbara hotel.
What is up with this mustache? This dude is like Ted Bundy. He looks completely different in every movie.
They're charged with burglary, defrauding an innkeeper, and conspiracy. He and his wife were arrested.
Oh, man, can you imagine, you're on lockdown and somebody comes up and they're like, hey, what'd you do? And you're like, defrauded an innkeeper. It sounds like something you would get a bounty in Skyrim for.
arrested Thursday afternoon. Police say his wife,
another look, Lex Luthor,
resisted a bit at first, but quickly calmed down.
Yeah.
Chevy is cool.
He didn't bail me out.
What? Address book was in the car, right? So I'm going, how can I find a phone number? I know. 411, I could call Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers will give me Jerry Weintraub. Jerry Weintraub will give me Chevy's number. So we did it. And then, of course, it was Chevy's answering machine. He called back through this lawyer who said, no, Chevy won't bail you out. Although Chevy misses you.
During one court appearance, they even brought Randy's Golden Globe along.
Evie pleaded no contest to misdemeanor defrauding of an innkeeper, and the rest of the charge.
Your Honor, I plead Golden Globe. Oh my gosh.
Charges were dropped. In June 2010, the Quaids learned of 2 loans totaling approximately $1 million in Randy's name he had no knowledge of at the Roxbury branch of City National Bank. He was told by the teller, supervisor, and
Carpenter's Journey, are you an OPC Don's secret channel?
vice president he would have to request loan documents through legal representation. In all likelihood, with allegations of criminal fraud being levied, the branch employees were following policy and deferring to their fraud and legal teams. Per Randy, he remained calm but firm in his requests, stating,
I then demanded to see the information about the loans and told them I was not moving away from the window until I did.
Security and Beverly Hills police intervened, and Randy later learned the loans had been paid off and closed February 10, 2010. On August 3, 2010, Randy and Evie Quaid filed a 220-page complaint with the Los Angeles Superior Court, alleging, among other things, that the deed had been forged during the sale of their Montecito home in 1992, and, as such, the transfer of the title on the property was invalid, meaning Randy and Evie still owned the home. The buyer, Bruce Berman, had been an executive for Warner Brothers at the time of the sale, before going on to head Village Roadshow Pictures, where he was the producer on Adventures of Pluto Nash.
This is also the work of Mr. Braun, further confounding the validity of the transfer of my fully furnished property in 1992 to Mr. Bruce Berman.
The Quaids claimed Berman never lived on site before selling the house to J2 Global president Scott Turicchi in 2007, and had used it as a mailing address to divert residuals and royalties from merchandising. While Randy and Evie claimed they had a tax attorney review the document, their pro se filing suffered from improper structuring, lack of appropriate notarization, and an intermingling of unsubstantiated assertions, which diminished the overall credibility of the complaint. For instance, one exhibit needlessly discussed perceived racially motivated hate crime and discrimination, while another suggests a fake identity was created for the purpose of diverting funds that used the name Rhonda L. Quaid.
Rhonda, go round, Rhonda, go round, Rhonda, go upside.
Rhonda Lynn Salmon was born September 1st, 1949, in Burbank, California, the child of Wilma and Rudolph Salmon. She graduated from Van Nuys High School before marrying Joel Quaid of Santa Barbara, who holds several medical device patents, among other endeavors. Their son Alex is a realtor in the Venice area. Rhonda Lynn Quaid passed away November 14th, 2005, in Santa Ynez. Before the courts could take any potential action on...
Yeah, Pluto Nash was terrible. Terrible. 116 degrees?
the matter, Randy and Evie began squatting in the since-built guest house at their old Montecito property, leading to an arrest warrant being issued.
In this audio obtained by TMZ, Evie Quaid can be heard screaming during her arrest. She says she became so upset because she claims they are the real owners of the house, and the incident is all part of a larger conspiracy.
This time the Quaids fled to Vancouver, where they gave a series of bewildering press conferences.
For the past 20 years, my wife Evie and I have been the victims of criminal activities perpetrated by a small network of individuals who are out to destroy us personally, professionally, and financially.
Randy Quaid joins us now exclusively from Vancouver, Canada, for his first live interview since this all began.
The law caught up with them in Canada last week when they were arrested and thrown in jail. The Quaids say they came here not to avoid the charges in California, but rather to save their lives.
I am being embezzled from by this monstrous ring of accountants, estate planners, and lawyers.
I genuinely feel like these people are trying to kill us.
Who are mercilessly slandering me and trying to kill my career, and I believe murder me in order to gain control of my royalties.
Who would be trying to kill us? An estate planner who had created
They trying to get that Pluto Nash dollars.
a living trust and a county that could cash Randy's royalty stream forever.
But why would they want to kill you?
So that they could take the money.
It's easier to take the money in that way.
You're afraid of these people who are out to kill celebrities, and you specifically. Why do you have that fear?
What's up, Ananjay? Like, okay, so let's assume that he's telling the truth, right? And that they do end up succeeding, so they get access to his royalties. Wouldn't, like, whoever know who did it based on where the royalties went? Or is he going to make the case that they're sending everything, like, over to Dennis so that it looks... Because he said that Dennis was surprisingly on the deed to his house for some reason. All right, see you later, Spicoli.
It's possible for people to gain control of every facet of your life.
They're businessmen. They're absolute businessmen. It's the mafia. It's organized crime.
For the last 3 years, and really the last 20 years, I've been racketeered on. My ex-attorney, my ex-business manager, and an estate planner, and they have conspired together to co-opt my corporations, put in trustees without my knowledge.
Randy was looking like a founding member of the FBI in that interview.
I have earned approximately $40 million throughout my career.
Why? Why would somebody want to do this to me?
We are not criminals, nor are we fugitives from justice.
We are refugees. I mean, that's essentially what it is. Hollywood refugees. Seeking to be left alone by the criminals.
A malignant tumor of star whackers in Hollywood.
But are they now trying to
There it is, the star whackers.
kill you?
Not in a sense where they're going to come over and shoot me with a gun or anything like that, but the way they've manipulated the system, the court system, to have us falsely arrested.
Criminal justice system in this country is a joke.
Banking, owning a house, renting a house, renting a car. I mean, we cannot function.
Our very existence is being challenged.
If things keep going the way they are, and we don't do something about it to expose these people, my wife and I will be out on the street. And we'll have nothing to eat. Okay, that's how bad it is.
We've gone, a day here, a day there, without anything to eat, okay, or a place to stay. And that happens more frequently and more frequently. At some point, you're going to end up out on the street.
Heath Ledger, Chris Penn, David Carradine among them. I can't believe that David would commit a suicide. His wife has recently come out and said that she doesn't believe that she believes that he was murdered. Heath was an athlete. He played Australian football.
Okay, it doesn't matter if you're an athlete, you cannot mix alcohol with, like, pain medication or benzos, whatever. Like, if you overshoot that shot, I mean, you're cooked no matter what.
He was robust. I believe these actors were whacked, and I believe that many others, such as Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, and Mel Gibson, are being played to get at their money. I've had 8 friends of mine who have either died or mysteriously or had scandals surrounding them in recent years.
And a Xanax just as a special treat.
I think he was drugged. I think he was slipped a Mickey. That's my personal opinion.
I think she was sent in to do him in.
Kill him or
No, just figuratively.
To ruin him.
Yeah.
Yes, to steal his money and ruin him.
And this is what I'm talking about when I mean by star whacking. I mean, it's not killing somebody necessarily. It's just creating a scandal or a mystery around a celebrity that discredits them.
All right.
And Heath, I think it was possible that...
Is this like a basically like a Hollywood lolcow situation at a certain point?
That he could have taken some tainted prescription drugs, yes.
You feel that the same people who you believe killed David Carradine and Heath Ledger, these star whackers, are out to kill you as well.
Well, they are star whackers. They follow us. They tail us. They tag our cell phone. They hack our computer. Now, with the internet, I mean, a celebrity is fair game, and it's all designed to sell advertising space.
Google helps out by keeping the negative stories near the top of a celebrity's webpage because it's the negativity that brings in the advertising revenue. Unfortunately, my brother Dennis has made matters worse by buying a house from Mr. Braun on property Braun originally bought with money he embezzled from me.
Do you have a relationship with your brother Dennis?
I do, yeah.
Still, are you close?
It's been a little tense the last few years, but I love my brother very much, and we have
We're worried
differences, but I'm concerned about him because I feel he's being victimized the same way that I've been by the same people and accountants and.
I recently discovered, much to my surprise, that Dennis is also on the deed to my Santa Barbara property.
Have you warned Dennis about your concerns?
I've tried, but he doesn't respond.
Dennis is now on a treadmill of making movies that are garbage, and it's unfortunate because he's talented.
And do you understand how paranoid and delusional your client sounds?
This camera angle is fantastic.
I'm not going to comment.
Following in-depth pieces on the couple in Vanity Fair and GQ,
I thought that was Sting for a second.
Randy and Evie decided to embrace their fugitive status as they began work on their expose of the Hollywood cabal.
The film, those Star Whackers, is anyone, I got to see it at the real theater.
Okay, it's a docudrama.
Evie premiered what she described as an impressionistic feature-length documentary about the life and times of Randy Quaid on April 20th, 2011 at the Rio Theater in Vancouver. Before the screening, Evie told the audience,
"This is a work in progress and highly experimental with nudity, adult language, and
Since 1995, movie stars have become worth more dead than alive due to lucrative advertising revenue. Nothing lights up the internet like a dead movie star. Randy Quaid has been targeted. From 2004 to 2011, Randy was paid $3 million to voice commercials for a major credit card company.
content throughout. For the first time, I would like an audience reaction."
Mysteriously, his own credit card stops working. Abandoned by his rotten accountants and managers of business. Is this written with AI? And managers of business. He's been left exposed and vulnerable to the ravages of assassins plotting his demise. So, to appropriate for themselves his value as a dead movie star.
Action to my art as a work in progress, so I made
Heartbroken, Randy remains possessed by the spirit of the last character. Oh boy. So he's still stuck in Falstaff mode.
understand its content through others' eyes.
Vancouver Sun film critic Peter Burney describes Star Whackers as
drugged out Drek, spouting Shakespeare as he stands in a full fur-length coat, penis hanging out. Quaid must compete with a howling wind. Falstaff he ain't, especially when the quote comes off and we're left to watch naked nuttiness signifying nothing.
Quaid, the American male human is retarded. Our objective is to keep him that way. Death is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. The American male human will die for us. He will die for us if we keep his brain soft.
I don't think you could make something that's more in my wheelhouse than what we're watching right now. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for in a movie. I have no idea what's going on.
And juvenile, like mutton.
This is Grace for 10 minutes after they arrested Ben. And he pulled him out of the RV, and then she was just like staring into the camera for 10 minutes.
You, Quaid, are a certain fool syringe used to inject a certain tranquilizer into the minds of the American male human.
How's it going, Randy?
You, Quaid, sell beer, bait, and ammo. The tax on beer, bait, and ammo funds recruiting franchises which support human war. You can't live in nature. If you live in nature, you don't have a phone. If you don't have a phone, we can't buy it. Do you understand the problem you are causing us, Quaid?
Let's get to know the Quaids.
Wow, what a tour de force that was. I got to get that movie.
And Doji Quaid. Hi, Doji. You've been working.
I have, yeah.
What have you been working on?
My songs.
Songs.
Yeah.
Very good. I saw your film. You know that. I met.
Whoa, they got the Undertaker on cello.
I mentioned the Star Whackers.
The other night at the Rio.
When we were in Spain, I believe the whackers were after us because for 48 hours we were completely bedridden, having been poisoned. We really don't know what it was.
There's been racketeering in the Hollywood and embezzlement and all sorts of shady stuff proven for centuries.
Okay, so 5 scientists in Israel, or 12 scientists in Israel, there's a conspiracy that they are being knocked off, right, for their knowledge.
Right.
So why? My father explains it this way, and he worked for the RCMP and the FBI. He said, of course you're being racketeered on. You have a lot of money.
Right.
You know, the bank drives around with their money in vaults and in armored cars. We walk around like a couple of idiots. You know what I mean? With, money falling out of Randy's pocket, making $1 million a movie. Of course people are racketeering.
Was this guy a fucking troll playing the instrument while she's trying to talk? What's going on here?
It's just we didn't know it was happening for 20 years.
Doji just farted, by the way. Why?
David was whacked. Everybody
Well,
thinks
we know
David
he was whacking, but
I don't know.
he was whacked.
His wife thinks he was whacked. He was hung in a closet. I mean, how? It's terrifying.
Autoerotic fixation, like in excess.
That's one of the theories.
I became terrified for Randy's life after that. How many people do you know that have died, personally know, that have died strange, bizarre deaths?
Personally, not many, but
Randy has 8.
Yeah.
Okay, how is that possible? Everybody can remember in college drinking too much beer or eating too much aspirin or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
remember the laundry list of narcotics that were in that one guy's system. I mean, my God, it was like a laundry list of like every possible drug. Heath Ledger mixes pain pills with alcohol. These aren't really, I don't think most of these are that strange.
You didn't die, right? You didn't die.
No.
Michael Jackson, again, a major talent, a major athlete.
Well, they've already said that was murder, right?
No, it's a murder trial. But was it that doctor? There are lots of unanswered questions in regards to Michael's death.
Tell us about the songs that you're going to play tonight.
The first one is, we just worked it up. I hope I can get through it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Randy Quaid and the Thunder
He's starting this off with like a lot of energy. I like it.
Hey bro, I don't know, but there's a certain so-and-so sleeps in your bed most every night. She's not your average Joe. I've heard it said that love is blind, and I don't want to seem unkind. To each his own is what I say, but have you lost your mind? Now you may think your wife that's some kind of beauty queen, but I don't think that she's the kind of queen you really mean. So please don't think I'm rude if I have reason to conclude your lady fair is not foursquare, she used to be a dude.
Actor Dennis Quaid and his wife got some life-changing news. They found out that their newborn twins had mistakenly been given a massive dose of heparin, a blood thinner, at the hospital, and were now on the brink of death.
This mistake occurred right under our noses, that the nurse didn't bother to look at the...
Yeah, Randy Quaid and the Thundercocks.
The dosage on the bottle.
Hey bro, tell me why the Adam's apple of your eye exhibits telltale signs that she used to be a guy.
What? So Randy Quaid is singing a song in front of a completely unresponsive audience, but still he's singing a song about how Meg Ryan is a trans woman?
Her dainty wrist is the size of your fist and her ankle bones, well, you get the gist, but the way she moves is a giveaway that she is...
Or is that his new wife that he's talking about?
Not a miss. Hey, that's okay if that's your world, she really is a prince of a girl. If a tranny spouse puts your boat, then let the sails unfurl. There's really none of my affair. If she's a he, what do I care? But you're my bro, I'm here for you. There's nothing we can't share.
What an absolutely unhinged behavior that you're gonna sing this song about your brother. Like, Randy Quaid is threatening to have, like, entire websites shut down. He stopped doing business with Lloyd Braun because a website that Lloyd Braun owned had some, like, unflattering news about Randy Quaid. So he takes it so personally when anybody says anything about him. And he literally writes a diss track for his brother's wife and then performs it live.
Like, for instance, dude, she used to be a dude. Now tell me true, tell me if you knew. Did you have a clue when she said I do? Or is it just between you two that she's a he that's become a she? With the help of drastic plastic surgery, they changed the plumbing and the way she pees.
This is... I mean, I knew this story was crazy, but it's so much wilder than I expected.
And the nature of her sexuality. Oh yeah, dude, you used to be a dude. Did you have a clue when you said I do? Now tell me true, did you really know? Or is it just between you two? Thank you. That was a little rough. It was the first time we ever done that one. But...
What's this is so bizarre.
We really appreciate you.
I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia with Randy Quaid. Now, Randy's looking for work right now, quite frankly, and it looks like he's formed a...
He's looking for work, quite frankly.
...new band called Randy Quaid and the Fugitives. He's about ready to do a couple of sets here. Let's go check out Randy Quaid and the Fugitives.
Oh, sleazy star whackers.
Randy Quaid has been arrested in Canada for the second time this year. Well, there was a development today in the bizarre saga of Randy Quaid and his attempts to stay in Canada. The American actor arrested a week ago in Montreal on a warrant issued back in 2013 for missing an appointment with the Immigration and Refugee Board. He attended a hearing today, and his release was granted if he posts a $10,000 bond. Quaid and his wife first made news when they sought asylum in Vancouver after fleeing the U.S. in 2010. Quaid claimed star whackers were out to kill him.
In May, Quaid was released from a Montreal immigration detention center on a $10,000 bond. During a hearing on May 19th, Quaid looked nearly unrecognizable in a long beard and shoulder-length hair. Quaid and his wife Evie have been living in Canada since 2010. When the actor was detained in May, Evie was as well. She tweeted, "Canada needs to learn how to wake up and criticize its crappy government."
Given what we know about him in the past, I sort of expected maybe that there was going to be some bizarre ranting, but he did seem quite lucid, and he was quite candid with the judge and apologetic about some of the mistakes that he'd made. So it was a bit unexpected in that sense. He seemed a bit more together, if you will, than I might have guessed he might be.
Together's a good word. When he was appearing at immigration hearings here in British Columbia, he talked about star whackers, and he was concerned that he might get
Yeah, this is what he looks like in all of his YouTube shorts.
attacked by people who whacked celebrities like himself when he went to the States.
Behind the long hair and Santa Claus beard is none other than Oscar-nominated actor Randy Quaid, still wearing his jail jumpsuit after finally being released.
Anybody know if there's a prison movie shooting or not?
The 65-year-old actor and his wife, Evie, were arrested a week ago after trying to cross into the U.S. from Canada, where they've been hiding out for nearly 5 years. Their problems stem from charges that the Quaids trashed the house they once owned in California, which they deny. Quaid also says he and his wife stayed in Canada for so long to avoid what he calls Hollywood star whackers, people he believes were out to kill him. So what are star whackers? It may be the craziest conspiracy theory ever. The Quaids claim it's a shadowy group who murdered actors David Carradine and Heath Ledger. Now released from jail after their fugitive from justice charges were dismissed, Quaid and his wife didn't seem to want to talk about the star whackers.
You mentioned something about staying in Canada to hide from these people who are out to get you. Do you think those people are still... No? Okay.
The couple says they are staying in Vermont.
Hi, I'm Randy Quaid, and this...
Okay, so I actually followed this part of it live as it was happening, and so I didn't know a lot of the stuff that came before it, but I remember this era here.
This is my wife, Evie. I helped media giants News Corp and Warner Brothers Entertainment earn well over $1 billion for the films Independence Day and Christmas Vacation. What did I get in return? A Warner Brothers exec, Bruce Byrne.
He kind of backpedaled on it and said that they didn't want him dead, but they wanted to like mess with his money. But then earlier in the movie, he had said that they wanted him dead so that they could take over like the royalties and be able to license him out to advertisers.
Berman stole my house. And News Corp's The New York Post continues to smear me to high heaven with a pack of lies. For good measure, Warner Brothers even had my wife and I falsely arrested 6 times.
Also, if you notice, his wife has the whiteboard out.
By TMZ. No, for real. That's really how it works.
In February 2015,
This is what I imagine like a Randy Quaid VC would be like.
Randy and Evie Quaid posted what could be regarded as the spiritual successor to Star Whackers, an obtuse rant against Bruce Berman, Warner Brothers, and the New York Post.
If I don't win an Academy Award for Best Actor for Gary the Tennis Coach, I quit. I'm done.
Though Sean William Scott would not be nominated for any award for his portrayal of Gary, the 2-time Teen Choice Awards Choice Movie Sleazebag winning actor continues to work in television.
What a thing! What a like credit! 2-time Teen Choice Award winner for movie sleazebag.
Television and film. Meanwhile, Balls Out, Gary the Tennis Coach, remains the formal coda to Randy Quaid's 38-year career in film.
All right. I'll get it out of the way. Shitter's full. Can I put the name here, and then shitter's full over there?
Unless you can get it all in the front. It's up to you.
How was praying on cocaine? I'm just curious. Like
It was like, help me, Jesus. That, you know, that's enough.
I had what I call a white light experience where I saw myself either dead or losing everything that meant anything to me.
Yeah, and it's about to kill me. And I put myself into rehab like the next day, and that was before rehab was cool. Yeah, before they had like cold pools and massages and things like that. It was in the hospital.
What year was it?
It was at the hospital.
I think he couldn't really cover the adult films that Randy Quaid made during this time. The video got reported for it, and it had to get edited down. But like he put on like Dick Cheney masks for like to make homemade adult films with his wife.
Basement.
What year was this?
That was 1990.
Dennis Quaid reports quitting cocaine in 1990 and credits his sobriety today to his surrender to Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I had to kind of relearn everything, to tell you the truth. And, you know, it works on your nervous system and, you know, go through depression and this and that. But, you know, grit my teeth and I got through it, went to meetings, but I started reading the Bible again.
In 2023, he released his debut gospel album, Fallen.
Do you think he released that song Randy wrote for him as part of this album?
A gospel album for sinners.
I went for a tour out down the desert highway.
I should bring up your brother, Randy.
Yes. Shitter's full. Merry Christmas.
I don't know what his status is.
I can't tell you.
But where is he?
I think he's somewhere in Vermont.
With the situation a few years ago with Randy.
Whoa, Vermont? We could get some content if he's in Vermont.
Randy's saying the stuff that he said with Hollywood and all that stuff. Is he still in that same state, or he's no longer there?
Randy doesn't like me to talk about him and what's going on with him. All I can say is that I really love my brother, and I miss my brother.
I don't know that it ever got a release. I didn't see anything on his YouTube page is at Quaid Films, but most of his videos, like 99% of them, are like zoomed in on his face while he like screams about whatever he saw in the news that day.
Well, and I will say,
but maybe somewhere throughout the like cascade of shorts, maybe he put an official video up or something. Thorpe's Meet the Quaids? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so, you know, Randy could have like a great third act.
Randy could have a great third act.
He could have a great third act in the movies, and I would love to see that. He's one of the best actors I think, you know, we've produced in this country. He's one of my 5 favorite actors.
Well, how am I going to make it happen? They don't listen to me. Yeah, well, he bought 2 RVs, right? So he can give one for the Thorpes and one for the Quaids. It's perfect. What was it, a Dolphin? That like 1980s? It was just like a little piece of a cabin on the back of a pickup truck.
Actors. But, you know, I'd love to see him have a third act. Wouldn't you?
Ava would end up letting a bunch of random people on the panel and ruin it.
Thanks for watching.
Wow, I thought that was really good. I thought it covered a lot more than I thought it was going to. Got like a whole retrospective on Randy Quaid's career, pretty much, and Dennis Quaid, really. All right, so again, this channel is. Wait a minute. What's happening? Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, Hollyweird Babylon. I don't have a lot of videos, but there's like I think there's a playlist with more documentaries from like a sub-channel or a parent channel or something. But anyway, thanks to Hollyweird Babylon for letting me do this react video. It was a great video too. I really liked it. Crazy story. I'll probably never forget the fact that Randy Quaid wrote that song accusing his brother's wife of being a trans woman. He really is. He is. I said earlier, like, if Randy Quaid's in a movie, like, that'll make me want to see it just because he's a good actor and he always has such a weird creative energy. Did Randy do as much blow as Dennis? I don't know. They really did it really did make it look like Dennis was a real cocaine hound. But that's all right. Oh my gosh. Wow, that was fantastic. He's got other documentaries about Corey Haim, Lindsay Lohan. I think the Lindsay Lohan one. Yeah, Hollyweird Babylon Fire Crotch, a feature-length Lindsay Lohan downfall documentary, I think. All right, well, I'm going to go. Thanks for hanging out and watching learning about the Star Whackers with me. I appreciate it. I'll probably be back tomorrow, but if not, I'll definitely be back Thursday. But I want to get through the last of the Lalo interview, and then I want to do a New World Order Alex Jones stream at some point this week.